Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zelbo Tech, and this past week had news about the upcoming iPhone 14 and more about what to expect, as well as maybe we'll see USB-C finally based off some rules in the EU and much more. This is your news update for the week of April 25th, 2022. And the first thing is, this morning there's actually been a couple outages for Apple across different apps and services. So the App Store in particular, so maybe you're on an app, if you scroll to the bottom, you typically will have app privacy information. This all of a sudden disappeared for many users. Now it does seem to be back at the time of this video, but earlier today it wasn't showing up. Also, if you go to Apple's status website or system status website, it does say it's still an issue. So if I refresh here, you'll see it says 2 current issues. The other issue actually has to do with Apple Music. So Apple Music still may be affected. If you're having issues with that, that's why. So whether that be lyrics not showing up for some people or just problems altogether, it does seem to be an issue that Apple's working on. Now also, if you have an Apple Watch Series 6 and it just shows a black display, maybe it's just showing a black display not working at all, Apple launched a repair program this past week to fix those issues. Now it's specific to the 40mm version of the Apple Watch Series 6 that was released between April 2021 and September 2021. It doesn't affect all Series 6 Apple Watches, and you can check the actual status of that, and I'll link this in the description, but you can check the status of that by going to the Apple Watch Series 6 service program for blank screen issue and inputting the serial number. If it matches, Apple will take care of this for you, and you can just follow the instructions here and go through the service process and they'll fix that for you. But I just want to make you aware if you're having that issue with a Series 6 Apple Watch. Tony Fadell, known as one of the co-creators of the original iPod at Apple, recently posted a prototype on Twitter of what it looked like early on. And you can see here, he said, "These plastic models are truly the first iPods. Around May or June of 2001, we 3D printed and machined these prototypes of the first-gen iPod during the mechanical and industrial design process. They were just shells, but they were important. First of all, I didn't know there were 3D printers capable of this early in 2001, but this is always great to see early versions of what Apple was working on, how it sort of looked from the very start." Also, in case you haven't heard, Elon Musk has actually bought Twitter. Earlier in the day, Elon Musk tweeted, "I hope that even my worst critics remain on Twitter because that is what free speech means." And that was the first indication that Twitter may have accepted his offer, and there was a bunch of news about that, and then later Twitter announced that they accepted his offer. So what this means as far as the future of Twitter is hard to say, but I'm curious what you think about it in the comments below. However, since this is a controversial topic, please be respectful of one another, as most of you are anyway, but I'd love to hear your opinion on this. The Apple Store online is now selling 2 new Hydrate Spark water bottles that has Apple Health integrated. The base of the water bottle lights up to remind you to drink and can also measure how much water you drink and relay that back to your Health app. The plastic version comes in at $59.99, while the steel version is $79.99. So if that's something you want to regularly monitor, it seems a bit expensive to me for a water bottle, but let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Now, also with all of the different Apple deals and things people have been asking me to publish, it seems like there's a continual deal on AirPods Pro. So I'll link those in the description, but it seems like AirPods Pro and AirPods have regular deals on Amazon. It is an affiliate link, so I'll get a little bit of money for that. If you don't want to use the link, you can just search for it on Amazon as well. But they do typically have those deals, and maybe we'll see some AirPods later on. But as far as AirPods Pro go, there's some great deals on those right now. Apple Fitness Plus also added some new workouts for International Dance Day on April 29th. So International Dance Day, I've mentioned this before. There's some get into groove with dance. There's some new workouts as well. And also you can earn a limited edition award on the 29th by doing a 20-minute dance workout. So that's available in a few days or so, and they usually update these regularly. So they'll probably have something next month as well. Apple released 2 new videos on YouTube recently, and you'll see them here. It says shot on iPhone 13 Pro. It's called Poached, and then there's also the making of Poached. I thought this was pretty impressive, as this is the person that created Jiro Dreams of Sushi, and that's one of my favorite sort of food documentaries, and this is also shot completely with an iPhone on this Poached video. So be sure to check this out. It's about 5 minutes long, and then the making of it is another 3 minutes long. But it's really impressive that they used the iPhone the entire time for this, so I thought I'd share that. The European Union's Digital Markets Act will apparently be forcing Apple to make iMessage interoperate with other messaging platforms. So that could mean Android, different messaging apps, maybe WhatsApp, Telegram, and others, and maybe even across Windows. So Apple would have to open that up, as well as third-party app stores. I've talked about that in the past, and it looks like they're getting closer to being forced to do that in the European Union. Apple would also have to make changes to FaceTime, Siri, and browsers as well. According to Mac Rumors, who saw a leaked version of the document, this is not yet law, but the initial revision of it was approved in March and is expected to take effect in October. The EU is also very close to approving legislation to force devices to use USB-C. So devices such as the iPhone, maybe iPhone 14, future AirPods cases, and anything that's not super small, as that's the only exception. So again, this past Wednesday, the law was voted in favor of, and if approved by next month, it would take effect. It means Apple would be forced to switch to that. So we would switch to maybe USB-C on all our iPhones. I would definitely welcome that personally, as we have it on iPad and Mac, and bringing it to iPhone and AirPods, while could be painful right away, it would be nice to be able to use one cable across all our iPhones and maybe any other devices, whether that be a Windows laptop, an Android phone, or something else. So I would definitely welcome it myself, but again, let me know what you think of it in the comments below. If you have Apple Cash is apparently being rebranded from Discover to Visa, and it will soon have a new logo showing that transition. A few images have been updated on Apple's Cash website, and we've seen those images in iOS code for a little while. So apparently they're going to be branding Apple Cash with a Visa logo now, where before it really didn't have a logo, which I appreciated. So it's something that's an unfortunate change, but may help at different locations to make it easier to pay with. If you're a fan of macOS Server and you've been using it for any amount of time, unfortunately Apple officially discontinued it as of April 21st, 2022. Apple updated a support document stating customers can continue to download it, but it will not be supported any longer. So that's a bit unfortunate, something I've used in the past, and if you use that version of the OS, it's not available any longer. But I think macOS Monterey has quite a few tools in it you could use similarly, but let me know if it's something you use and if you're disappointed by this news. When it comes to the iPhone 13, it appears that iPhone 13 mini is quite rare. It apparently makes up only 3% of all iPhone sales in the March quarter, according to consumer research intelligence partners. So the iPhone 13 mini is something that's just not selling very well. That makes a lot of sense for some people. For others, this is the best phone Apple's ever made. So let me know if the 13 mini is something you use personally, what you think of it, and are you a bit disappointed that Apple's not going to be making it with the iPhone 14 models? Now, when it comes to future iOS updates, this week I would be very surprised if we don't have an iOS 15.4.2 or some other public release. It's completely possible that Apple does not release something this week, but it seems very likely, since usually when they stopped signing a previous version of iOS, we'll have an update within 2 to 3 weeks. This would be the third week since they stopped signing iOS 15.4. That means you can no longer downgrade to it. So if we don't have an update this week, it'd be surprising, but Apple has been very random with their releases lately, so it's possible we don't see that. Also, we're waiting for the next version of iOS 15.5 betas with Beta 3. Now, Apple typically is on a 2-week cycle with the first 1 to 3 betas, and usually between Beta 2 and Beta 3 or Beta 3 and Beta 4, it switches to a 1-week cycle. This changes from time to time, so if we see a Beta 3 this week, we can expect regular betas every week until the final release. If we don't see a beta this week, then I would expect one next week in the first week of May, with then switching to releases weekly, with a final release around WWDC in June, along with iOS 16 Beta 1. So expect all of those things as far as those updates go. Apple is planning to increase the iPhone 13 Pro and iPhone 13 Pro Max production for the second quarter by up to 10 million units, according to those in the supply chain. iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max are in very high demand, and it seems that Apple needs to make much more of them. There were recent lockdowns and things across the world in the supply chain, and that slowed down production, so maybe they're just making up for lost time there. Now, when it comes to the iPhone 14, it appears that the next version of the iPhone could have a new purple color for the Pro models. There was a recent leak on Weibo that has since been removed that claimed to reveal all of the colors of the upcoming iPhone 14 Pro models, and the new exclusive color to the Pro models was a new purple color. Now, rumors in the past have gotten this very wrong, where they thought we would have an orange and different colors there, and we had Sierra Blue, but it looks like purple could be in the plans for the next iPhone. Mark Gurman this past week in his Power On newsletter has also said that the regular iPhone 14 and 14 Max will not have the new 48 megapixel camera that will be in just the Pro models. Also, he said it would only have the A15 CPU instead of the 16, which would be reserved for the Pro models specifically. This is something we haven't seen every year, year to year, but the A15 is powerful enough that it makes sense. Maybe in the regular models, we have an A15, and in the Pro models, we have an even faster processor. I know quite a few people wouldn't like this, but due to recent supply constraints and more, that could make a lot of sense for the next few years. According to Kuo Ming Chi, iPhone 14 models are all said to be getting upgraded front cameras with autofocus and a wider f1.9 aperture. That makes a lot of sense. We haven't seen the front camera upgraded in quite some time, and additional autofocus and a wider aperture to let in more light makes a lot of sense. That would be a great upgrade, and I hope this is something that we actually see. Also last week, we heard that Apple Watch may gain satellite connectivity for emergency situations, and it appears this feature is being planned to roll out to iPhones as soon as this year. Now, it may come a little bit later, or it could be very soon, but something like that, maybe you're hiking in the forest somewhere and it's difficult to reach you, you don't have a cell signal, that sort of emergency backup would be something that I think most people would welcome if it was available. So hopefully we see something like that in the near future. Analyst Ming Chi Kuo has also said that the first iPhones to support the under-the-display Face ID will be the iPhone 16 Pro models in a couple years. Prior to this, it was thought we could see it even earlier with the iPhone 15, but apparently Apple tends to keep similar technologies for a few years where we might have that sort of pill and hole punch camera, and then we'll have that for a couple years, and then maybe an under-the-display feature later on. So that could be something we see only in a couple years from now, not just 1 year from now. Mark Gurman this week has said that Apple is also working on an M3 version of the iMac, as Apple is typically a few years ahead of what we see in the public, and he also said those wanting an iMac Pro will have to wait, as Apple is still working on it, but it's not coming anytime soon. Apple is also working closer with Samsung this time around to help manufacture some of its future Apple Silicon, starting with the M2. Samsung already supplies some of the components, but then the chips are ultimately manufactured by TSMC. And TSMC, who's been manufacturing them for a while, is working on the next chips, where currently we're at 3 nanometers coming up soon, and then they're moving down to 2 nanometers. So they're already prepping that for the next future versions of the Mac or the iPhone chips. That leads to better efficiency, better heat, and much more. So that's something that's just kind of mind-blowing to see that we've come down from 5 nanometers to 3 and then to 2. So we'll have to see what we can get with that when we see those in a few years. So there's a ton of news this past week. Now, if there's anything different you'd like me to cover in these videos, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Of course, if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.